Hey, what's up, everyone? Brad Chmielewski here with episode 174 of Shatter The Vain. This week, I have Victorious joining me to talk about his fantasy league he started for Vainglory, a team he's working with that he's managing right now. We dive into the Immortals, leaving Vainglory, and how content creators can kind of get some love. Why aren't people watching their stuff? Why aren't they reading articles? Why aren't they, I don't know, just checking out everyone's streams? Like, just what's happening out there? We dive into some thoughts there towards the end of the show. I had some issues with Vic's video, so you're only going to see mine. So if you're listening, you don't even notice. But if you're watching, you're just going to see my video here on screen and just a little icon for him. For some reason, it did not record. Did get the audio though, so whew, thank goodness. I want to mention the Patreon page before we jump in this episode. That's over at patreon.com/shatterthevain. If you can support the show in any way, that would be awesome. But if you can just support it by liking it, retweeting it, leaving a review on iTunes, that's just as helpful. And I love seeing those. I try to check the iTunes reviews all the time, see if there's any new ones. So be sure to leave one if you haven't left one yet. All right, let's do it. Let's jump into episode 174.
Shatter the Vain.
This is the 174th episode of Shatter the Vain. My name is Brad Chmielewski, and it's a podcast all about Vainglory. Every week, try to break down the news, gameplay, game tips, and hopefully we can all become better players together. Every week, bringing on people that love the game, love the community, and this week, I have Victorious joining me once again. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Brett.
Yeah, it's good to have you here, especially in a week where there's so much fun esports stuff to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. So many rumors.
Yeah, so how's everything been going with you and Vainglory play and the game in general?
Vainglory play, I am starting to now feel the angst of solo queue players. Um, I've moved away a little bit from the playing side with the team that I'm a part of.
Okay.
And because the team on trying to make a run through the Challenger Series. So we actually picked up Pajama to be our captain now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I'm now handling, I guess, what you would equate to the managerial roles, mainly, setting up the calendar for the team, practice times, setting up scrims. We're now in the tourney server, which we found a lot of teams required you to have to scrim with them.
Okay.
So playing wise, I guess I'm now technically a solo queuer, and I feel the pain now.
So
I would always say it can't be that bad.
All right. So you set up these games with the team, and then you just kind of go off and maybe hear what happened, or kind of spectate them, and then you play when they're not. Playing, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I spectate. Yeah, most of the time, exactly.
Nice. So the pain of the solo queue, you know now. I usually solo queue, and yeah, I love to hate it, I guess. That's
that's what I'm finding too. I mean, it's not every game is bad, but every now and then you run into the player that one death is all it takes for them to start trolling or start pinging away. Especially as a captain main, as you can see by the hat.
Yeah, right.
We need vision ping. Oh, it's so big. Like, I can't continuously keep buying vision at minute 2.
Yeah, that's why I just recommend, whenever they do that, I recommend flares to them. I'm like, oh,
right, yeah.
Recommend flare.
Yeah, that's the same thing that Christian from CNC replied to one of my tweets. So like, yeah, just recommend a flare to them.
Yeah, it's kind of. Then you at least get a smiley face. Like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, right.
That's cool. So yeah, you got this sweet hat because you were at the summer championships. How was that?
The summer championships were, it's funny because I didn't think making it free would make such a big difference. Because tickets have never been quote unquote expensive. Right. They've always been affordable. Like, you've always been able to go the whole weekend for like $11, $12. But it seemed like there was definitely a lot more people there early.
Okay.
than in the past. Yeah, there was, because I volunteered at this one also. And part of what I was doing at the event was checking people in the morning when they got there.
Okay.
And yeah, all 3 days there was a line definitely of enough. The second day, Saturday, because Friday's always the slowest day because people got school, they have work,
Mm-hmm.
and the game starts right in the middle of the day. But Saturday there at early check-in there was more than 100 people there, because by the time that the doors were getting ready to open, there was already people checking in that weren't going to be able to get the first 100 skin giveaway.
Okay. So do you think that was a good incentive for people to show up that early? Like it had to have
I,
been if there
I
was a line like that.
Well, they've always done like an incentive for people to get there early. There's always been a giveaway for the first, whatever 100, whatever they decide to do. But there's always been that at all the events that I've been at.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if the tickets being free is what was the main motivator, or what it was, but there was definitely good turnouts all 3 days for sure.
That's good. Yeah, because usually any event that adds, I guess, a ticket price, it's really just to turn away people from buying tickets and not showing up. Like,
Right.
if they're free, everyone's gonna say I'm going and then not show up. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. Which I think kind of might have happened here, because there was definitely, quote unquote, a sellout, which, there was some Twitter stuff going on about that. Also, people not being able to get tickets anymore. And I know that they sent out an email saying, if you're not going to be able to make it, please cancel your tickets, so that because, we want people that are going to be able to attend to have the opportunity to attend.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
So then, how did this one compare to other events? Did you feel? Does it continually get better, or is it each one different?
The only thing with this event would have the venue definitely had a few issues. The temperature being one of them.
Okay.
This was
Yeah.
definitely the hottest venue of any of the locations. I mean, all the theaters in downtown Los Angeles are older theaters. This is one of the original theaters on Broadway Street in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I think that's part of the issue the venue had with the AC not being able to accommodate. Because once you get the production lighting in there, you've got the crowd in there. It gets hot.
Yeah. I know.
So yeah, so it was. So we were definitely feeling it. It definitely got really hot. And then the other one, the venue itself, on most days, it's a nightclub. That's usually what the Globe Theater is on most days.
Okay.
So they had a policy of no outside food or drink, which for a video game community and for kids that were going to be there the whole day turned into an issue, because a lot of people, had to either go back to their vehicles, or some stuff where we were holding it at the check-in
Okay.
box. But a lot of stuff, yeah, they were having people throw away their snacks, their drinks, because that's the theater policy. It was no food or drink allowed inside. So that was one thing that was different from the other venues, which for a video game tournament it's an issue, because most kids come with their snacks and their water.
Right. Were they selling stuff there though? So you could.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
nothing
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
And you could go in and out, and there's plenty of stuff like around, so like people were able to go out and get some stuff, and just had to drink it before you get back in.
Yeah. Okay. Understand that.
Yeah. But other than that, as far as like the gameplay and the crowd goes, the earlier games definitely had better turnout, because there was a lot of people there early in the day. But as seems to be the case, the EU games are what they lead off with, and the EU games, as we know, tend to be a little bit slower. They take longer to get to action, so you could feel the crowd energy start to die down towards the middle of the day, just
Yeah.
because EU has slower meta.
Yeah, that first day, that Friday, I remember chatting in Discord, and I think I was leaving work, or like, I don't know, night. It was like the longest day of EU games. I was like, you guys haven't even started NA yet. This is crazy.
Yeah, I think the first NA match was scheduled for like around, I want to say it was either like, it was supposed to start like at 3, and it didn't start. I think the sun had gone down by the time that it got going. It was like 7 o'clock or something like that when the first NA match started.
So yeah, I can't, like sitting there, yeah, probably being hot and thirsty and needing food and drink. You're just at that point, like, I'm out. Hopefully I'll come back. Maybe these will still be going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll come back for NA matches at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Was it weird not having GankStars there to root for this time since they?
Well, in a way, yes, it was weird. That aspect of it was weird, but there's definitely was a good GankStars turnout. Well, the GankStars LAN party was Thursday
Yeah.
before the event got going. So there was a lot of GankStars members and GankStars fans still there.
Hmm.
So that aspect of it was, but yeah, not having GankStars on stage definitely was like, oh, this is weird. So I switched sides. I was rooting for EU because I got to hang out a lot with the SK guys,
Oh, cool. Okay.
with Bayo and Tyrus and Ralph because they and Kavalafar. They were co-hosting the GankStars LAN party.
Yeah.
So I met them on Thursday, and then I got to hang out with them all throughout the weekend.
Hmm. And that seems to be the team that a lot of people I'm hearing just like that's the EU team. That's like they're adapting, they're learning, they're really improving with every match. So.
Yeah, them and Fnatic. I think if anybody ends up getting to that third day, I think it would be SK or Fnatic personally.
Hmm. Nice. Well, cool. Well, yeah, we'll continue with the esports talk. You've recently started this like fantasy league, right? So I know as a ex League of Legends player, they had the LCS fantasy that they were doing for a while, and probably they still do, but I'm not involved in that anymore. But you started this Vainglory one, right?
Well, actually, it got started by Belligerent,
Okay.
the coach for Nova.
Yeah. Okay.
So how I ended up getting involved in it is because I missed his tweet the day he said he was starting it, and he put the Google sheet out for people to sign up.
Okay.
So I saw it the day after he tweeted that, and by then it was already full. So I tweeted at him saying, "Okay, you need to expand. Like, I beg you to expand because I play fantasy football. I'm currently in 4 fantasy football leagues.
Jesus.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I love the whole thing about the whole fantasy football aspect, and doing it for Vainglory, it seemed just perfect. So he responded, and I don't think he thought it would happen, but he responded with, "Okay, Vig, you get 23 more people interested, and we'll go ahead and expand. We'll make a second league because each league has 24 teams."
Okay.
Broken down into 4 divisions. So yeah, so he said you get 23 more people, and all it took for me to get the 23 people was a GankStars retweet. Once GankStars retweeted it, yeah,
Bam. Okay.
yeah, it's funny because I mentioned it in one of the discords that I'm in, and I said, hey, looking, I got like 20 more spots. If we can get 24, we'll make a second league. And then 3 minutes later, someone noticed that 3 minutes after sending that message, I had then said, okay, league is full. So like within 3 minutes, it got filled up to the whole thing.
That's a good sign for the fantasy draft kind of thing for Vainglory. So.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Belligerent, it turned into a lot more work than he was expecting because he's doing all this by hand. He's making all the. I'm helping administer some of the stuff, and I'm helping him with like tracking the scoring.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's doing all this by hand right now. Eventually, if this continues to be something the community wants to continue to do, his plan is to make a dedicated website for it. Try to make it as automated as possible, like the current fantasy football leagues are.
Yeah.
But right now, we're basically from scratch how fantasy started, where we've got to compute the numbers ourselves, go through the games, add up all the numbers. Yeah, and because this is a video game community, a lot of the first 2 days were spent on explaining to people what fantasy was and how it worked.
Right.
So a lot of people had questions about like, well, what happens? Like, some people were DMing me the team they wanted. I'd have to explain to them, no, we actually have to hold a draft, and you're gonna pick the people that you want, and if the person's not available when you're picking, then they just won't be available.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Man. All right. Well, good luck to you guys.
Yeah,
figuring all
we'll
this
see
out.
how it goes. Yeah. League 2 ended up getting a few quote unquote Vainglory celebrities. We've got Dowsy in League 2, Tasty Bacon and Flash X ended up
Nice.
joining the second league.
Nice. So is this just gonna run
should
through
be
this is for the split, right? And then we'll probably reset for the next split. Okay.
Yeah. So the way it's working is there's 2 leagues, 4 divisions in each league. It's kind of like a round robin setup where everybody within the division plays each other.
Okay.
And then each division winner will play in a playoff format for a grand champion.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes.
All right, yeah, you have to keep me updated and
Yeah.
on how it's going and everything. Excited to see. Is there a prize or anything for the winner?
Yeah, for League One, he had set up 1,000 ice for first place, and then second and third place.
Okay.
I'm sure we're gonna end up having to do something similar for League Two. I'll probably end up donating that ice or try to work with Belligerent on figuring out how to get that price for the second league, since I'm the one that kind of bullied him into setting it up.
Sure, yeah. I'm sure
Yeah, and
SEMC might help out a little bit too.
we'll see. I reached out to Woodworking actually, because I don't know if you've seen Woodworking on Twitter. He does a lot of the daggers and stuff made out of wood and stuff.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him to see if maybe he'd be interested in doing some type of trophy for the winner. So I haven't heard back from him yet, so I may have to follow up with him, see if he's got interest in doing it, or maybe he doesn't. If he's not interested in doing it.
Yeah, that's why he hasn't followed up.
Yeah, he hasn't replied. So like, no, I don't think I'm good.
Awesome. Cool. So everyone keep a lookout for that next split if you didn't get involved in this one, and hopefully it continues to grow and expand. So yeah, good luck with
Right.
that. Well, that leads us into some of the Vainglory news that's been happening this week, and there's a big one here to talk about at the top. So let's dive into that.
Vainglory News.
So the first thing to mention, it has to be Immortals leaving Vainglory. This is big news and maybe a little bit of a shock to a lot of people, especially fans. I don't know if you saw this coming at all or had any, I don't know, any rumors. Did you hear anything ahead of time on this?
Ahead of time, no, but I know that the NZO had tweeted out announcement coming soon, so I think that's kind of where the speculation started. And then my personal theory was always with them being part of Tribe Gaming, and my own suspicions were the fact that Tribe Gaming purposely titled their team Tribe Academy.
Right.
So they already gave them a name that was outside of just the organization's name. So it seemed like their plan all along was to make that their challenger team. And then the fact that Tribe is also a franchised team organization. So it benefits SCMC to have a franchise organization in the VG8. Mm-hmm. So if anybody was going to acquire the Immortals roster, my money was always on Tribe doing it.
Yeah, so I kind of want to. There's a lot of just like I almost say fishy, just like weird stuff here that this all went down.
Right.
So I'm just gonna go over some of the like things that I came across talking to people. So first off, the Clinton Foy, he's the founder and chairman of the Immortals, and he's also a director of Crosscut Ventures, which is a firm that's invested in Mob Crush and Super Evil Megacorp. And then he's on the board of directors at Super Evil Megacorp. So he is very involved with Super Evil Megacorp as far as money, and then his team was there. So that's kind of weird. And Immortals haven't been in the Vainglory esports scene for more than a year, because none of these, like, the franchise system hasn't been around for a year. None of this has run its full cycle yet. So
right.
I really doubt any of these contracts were up on both sides, on the Immortal side or the Tribe Gaming side.
Yeah. Now on the Immortals announcement, they didn't say why they made the decision that they made.
Right.
But they did include something in there that said for an undisclosed amount. So
Okay.
there must have been some money that exchanged hands for the acquisition of the Immortals roster from Tribe Gaming. Because yeah, you're right, the contract must have not been up.
Yeah, and then Tribe's contracts for their original team with Status and everyone there, they got released on September 11th. Those contracts were not likely up either.
Right.
Because I saw some snarky tweets afterwards, like released, ha ha ha, or stuff like that. Just kind of like,
yeah,
something went down there. So,
right.
And then Tribe has the Tribe Academy, like you mentioned. So they are potentially also paying those players. We're not sure on that, if there's a contract there or not. And then if that team was to get into Vainglory 8, for whatever reason, making it through the Challenger team, Tribe would have to drop one of these teams, because you can only have one team in the Vainglory 8 on either side. So that seems like a big risk for Tribe unless they're just hoping to kind of feed that and get some money later on, either to sell those players contracts or use those players for potential 5v5 coming.
Yeah, that could be it.
And then on the Tribe side, so Don John, I didn't realize is part of Tribe Gaming. He's the COO of Tribe Gaming, and he helped start the Vainglory League, so he definitely has a little bit of a inside track in what's happening with the esports scene at Super Evil Megacorp, because he was a former employee when during that transition time where Super Evil Megacorp kind of took VGL in-house. And then I know Rome, who works at SEMC, is really good friends with Chief Pat. At least that's what I'm told. So there's a lot of stuff here that's kind of like Clint Foe is inside with Super Evil, and then he's out now, and Don John's part of this. I don't know. There's a lot of questions here.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the community seems a lot. The biggest question I think the community has is why did Immortals pull out?
Right.
You know, because that's definitely an important factor. A big organization like that, because a lot of I don't know if money was their sole reason for getting out. I mean, this is an organization that's in the middle of building this, I don't know how many square footage. It's like in the hundreds of thousands facility that they're building here in Los Angeles. So
Right.
I don't think money is a sole factor. But at the end of the day, even though they were franchised, which after having conversations like with some people, the franchise organizations apparently do get some money from Super Evil Megacorp. I don't know how exactly they get that, if they get that all up front,
I don't know.
what they use it for. Yeah, but I mean, they had to have made a business decision where what they were putting into Vainglory or what was expected of them was not beneficial to the organization as a whole. I'm assuming was their rationale behind it.
Because I did see some people talking. I think Drizzy brought this up, that maybe Immortals wasn't delivering on their franchise obligations, because I think you're
Right.
supposed to help promote Vainglory, supposed to like do content, like we see GankStars do a lot of stuff with the GankStars Academy, and then we see some of the organizations do a few things. It's much less than I think should be, and maybe Super Evil
Right.
saw, but I have never saw any content from Immortals come out for Vainglory.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they, as a franchise, I mean, knowing how franchise work in general, not in the esports world or in the gaming world, but in general, you don't just get money. You're expected to do something. You know, you've got certain obligations you've got to meet. And maybe, yeah, and you're right. There wasn't much Immortals content out there for Vainglory. They were probably one of the organizations that tweeted the most about their team and, that way, but Twitter isn't the end all.
Right.
Yeah, there was definitely no content coming out as we see with TSM and their videos on the Vainglory team. And like you said, with GankStars and specific content that GankStars is creating.
Yeah, and as of right now, as recording this, Immortals is still listed as a franchise team on the Vainglory esports site. So don't know if they're officially out or still not a franchise team. It's really, unclear if they're completely leaving Vainglory or
Right.
if they're like maybe holding their spot and waiting for 5v5 to come and then come back in. But it seems weird to give up your team that has a very good chance of going to Worlds and could potentially pull off a win there, but I guess that's far-fetched too. You never know what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially with Cloud9 winning both unified championships, I know that now the talk is what's going to happen now. There's rumblings of only one NA team now being able to qualify as a wild card spot, because it was originally assumed that because Cloud9 had won both unified championships, then the second place team would get that world spot. But I don't know. That's not happening. There's going to be some wild card out of NA that's determined by Super Evil Megacorp or something. Some talk of that going on now.
Right, because there's a lot of like, well, the rule was you had to win and then you're in. If you're not in, then are they just picking someone? And that's probably unfair to a lot of the teams who are like, well, we had just as much of a shot then.
Right. Yeah.
whew,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a mess. But I just feel like if you're not inside this world or following the esports scene a lot, because Immortals is having issues with their players in general. On the outside,
Okay.
it looks like Immortals is just like leaving Vainglory, and it's not a good sign for Vainglory. Like I would say, if
Yeah.
you like remove just like one step from all of this, it does not look good for Vainglory.
Right.
So I would love to see Super Evil Megacorp kind of come out and maybe address this a little bit and just kind of say what's happening, because yeah, I'd be a little concerned.
Yeah, I mean, when you already have our community doubting the advertisements from Super Evil Megacorp, when you already have our community doubting viewership, and so many tweets you see all the time of, oh, Vainglory is dying, there's not enough, it's not growing, and then it's basically giving those naysayers, it's like, oh, look, see, Immortals left, it's dying, it's gonna die, and then so yeah, if Super Evil Megacorp came out and addressed this, it will definitely appease a lot of minds.
Hmm. So we'll have to see what happens. Do you think? How do you think the new tribe team's gonna do? It's the same team. Do you think they're gonna perform as well as they did in the end of the split last season?
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same team like you just said. They still have their same analytical team, their same coach, all their stuff. Nothing's changed for them. This is just basically Tribe now acquiring a team that has a shot at Worlds. I believe in those three guys, the NZO, Tigers, and Max Green. They're amazing players to the point where I thought they were going to pull off the win at the Unified Championships. But I mean, C9 is just a juggernaut right now that can't seem to be taken down. But yeah, I think they have as good a shot as any team to get to get that spot for Worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tribe definitely got themselves a good. This is probably as good a pickup as when Phoenix got Armada just before Worlds.
Right. Yeah, it's like
It's like almost like punching an auto. Except for Phoenix did get an automatic ticket since our Armada had already qualified for Worlds when they picked them up.
Right. So yeah, I guess.
This is as good a shot.
Hopefully they make it. We'll see. Speaking of Cloud9, man, they were on fire this weekend. I don't know if you got a chance to catch up or watch any of these games yet, because I know you were out.
Yeah, I was on family vacation this weekend. I was at Legoland the whole weekend, so I didn't catch any of the games. But all the talk I've seen so far is the Captain Sky that I regret missing, and I will have to check on the VODs.
Yeah, so this was game 2 against Rogue. C9 was already up a game, so they had a little bit of room to, I guess, just try something different. Rogue was playing fantastic. Like, I think they're going to perform really well this split, but I got to say, it's got to trigger you a little bit when you go up against something like that, and you're just like, I don't know how to deal with this. And then, are we going to lose to a Captain Sky if this happens? Like, what are people going to say?
It's Gabe Bizzle, man. You tip your hat to the guy.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
I thankfully have not played any Vainglory since this happened, so I haven't
Oh,
seen
it's probably
if people...
out there, yeah.
But yeah, I didn't go back and watch that game because just the idea of it seems crazy, but then you start to see it in action with, Echo ultimates and things like that. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, I see how it's working and why it could work in those crafted hands of Gabe Bizzle.
Right, yeah. So with the Echo Ultimate, it was like it was being used as crowd control more than anything.
Yeah, so basically you feed them where you want them to go, sort of.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, seems plausible, but I won't attempt it.
Yeah. And
full disclosure, I'm a horrible Sky player, so I
I'm
definitely
terrible.
won't be attempting it.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Backward forward barrage is OP for me.
Yeah, I'll make a new account and try it there, and then I'll feel great.
Yeah.
But then Cloud9 went on to play TSM, and it just looks like Cloud9 is basically on another level at this point. It's like felt like TSM and Cloud9 were at the same skill, but watching this game, C9 was just rolling over them in like 15 minutes. It was crazy. Like I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I was driving back and I tuned in. after the games were done and the analysts were discussing it, and that's what they were saying, is just that C9 is just they just made TSM look like it was just an easy win for them.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know who can take down C9 then. We'll have to see this coming weekend. See if anyone can challenge them.
Right.
And then yeah, on the desk, Iraqi was there for the first time this week. I kind of touched on last week him going to the desk, but now we finally got to see him there and hear him. Like you said, you haven't got a chance to hear too much of him yet, but I think he did a great job. Definitely a little nervous, I'm sure, for the first week, but that's bound to be expected.
Yeah, Iraqi shouldn't have any issues being on the desk. I mean, the guy's very knowledgeable. He's been part of this community and game for a very long time. He's done the coaching side of things when he basically took on Cerberus as their coach when GankStars was in EU. So analyzing the game is not going to be a problem for Iraqi.
So yeah, excited to hear what he brings to it moving forward.
Yeah, should be good.
All right, that's enough. I gotta say, that's enough esports talk here. Well, let's jump into some other stuff that's been happening. We haven't seen too much new stuff on the Churn Walker yet, but what do you think of this guy so far from what you've seen?
I like how they're introducing him for sure. These videos are, very cryptic, and they're, Playoff had everyone searching for the lore from back in 2014 when he made the announcement at the Unified Championships. I personally thought they were finally going to give us Corpus. He said we played the long game with this guy. But yeah, he's, I don't know, based on the introductory video, I'm theorizing that he's going to have some type of like shadowy movement ability, because if you pay attention to the video when they introduced him, there's like a shadow before you actually see him, and it's moving through the fold. So maybe his ability will include some type of like, I don't know, whether it be teleportation or he's going to also be able to go invisible in some type of way. So we'll see how it works out. I know people are thinking Captain, where he's got crowd control with those chains.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Captain or Jungler.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, we're getting like a drip, drip, drip of this. Usually we get skins like slowly, but for some reason we're getting this new hero just dripping out there, which is cool. I would rather see news on new heroes than the skins are always nice, but heroes are way more fun.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we'll probably see another, I want to say video or lore piece probably coming this week, because we have two. There's got to be something else here soon.
Yeah.
We did get a tease for a new item, and that's very exciting.
Right.
This looks like a new mage item. It was just a...
Right, CP, right? It's blue.
Yeah, so it's blue. It looks like a ring. That's kind of what it looks like. I'll include a link in the show notes for the little video they teased out. But
yeah,
thinking
it looks
about
like the all-seeing eye.
Yeah, thinking about like a ring, it seems like it's going to somehow amplify your power or damage once you get it, or you activate it and it does something.
Yeah, maybe it's got a charge up or something.
Yeah, not sure, but it somehow has to be some sort of boosting item. I just think that's usually what, boots and jewelry and those kind of items usually are. They're kind of like enhancements.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
We'll have to see. Hopefully we get 2 items, though. I love seeing like the multiple items come out, I think, in each update. I feel like we might see 2, so keep eye out there. Well, that's then all the news for this week. I got a little forum topic, or a little, I guess, just a static thing before we get out of here, because it's not really from the forums.
Forum static.
This topic comes from, he's the founder/writer of Touch Arcade. So they're a blog that covers a lot of mobile sports, mobile games. And this topic came across because someone asked about like covering more Vainglory stuff. And it was Eli. Eli is his name. So yeah, he's the creator of Touch Arcade. He had this topic or long tweet storm about how whenever he writes content for Vainglory, no one reads it. Like he doesn't get increased traffic for
Yeah, it
it.
doesn't generate traffic.
Yeah, and so it's a little confusing to him because usually when you see somebody or when you have a game that's as large as Vainglory or League of Legends, people want to find out more when they're not playing. And for whatever reason, he's not seeing this with Vainglory. Uh, I had a couple long conversations with some people on this Twitter stream, and my thought is, I don't, you kind of jump in here if you've seen this too, is I think there's a lot of just casual people that play Vainglory, people that play the game, and that is it. They don't know anything exists out there as far as streams, YouTubes, esport, anything. Like it doesn't, they go home, play a game, maybe spend time with their family or do homework. This is just a quick escape, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, the people that I started playing this game with, I mean, I started playing this game with about, I want to say it's 8 to 10 real life friends. Out of those 8 to 10 people, I'm the only one that's involved in the Vainglory community.
Okay.
My other friends, they'll play a Blitz game from time to time. They'll play maybe a Battle Royale here and there, but they're not out there seeking content for Vainglory. I mean, to the point where they've never attended any of the live events. You know, they're not seeking out, and I think that is true for a lot of the player base.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that the Twitter community that's part of Vainglory that's the whole community. It isn't. There's a lot of people out there that just want to play a video game on their phone. That's all they want.
Yeah.
They don't want to go to a tournament and watch it, and they don't want to tune into Twitch. You know, so the Vainglory growth, although we may not see it because Twitch viewership isn't there, the what this writer was saying, where his traffic on his Vainglory stories aren't there, doesn't mean that there's no player base. It just means that, like you said, there's a large part of the player base that just wants to play.
Right. Yeah. I think the Twitter space for Vainglory is basically the same people that watch esports, and so that group
Yeah.
is very small. And Super Evil was pushing that for a long time, and they had a lot of pushback from those people, or from even the people that watched it. Like, why are you doing so much esports? And now they backed off, and now they're like, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I gotta say, there's just so many people that see it as a mobile game, and I think that's maybe the hurdle that mobile games and maybe Vainglory still has to get over. That, hey, this is on my phone. Why would I watch someone play a game on my phone when I could just play it on my phone? It's like, but when you have some other game like League or I don't know, Counter-Strike, things like that, you kind of maybe dive into like how to get better. But I think there's something with mobile games where people are like, I don't know, it's just a game I goof around on.
Right. Yeah, they equate it to like I said when I first started, like, oh, it's just Candy Crush. Like, whatever.
Yeah, so that's a huge I don't know how you fix this for Vainglory content creators, including myself and Eli here with the Touch Arcade. Like, how do you get people to go know this stuff exists? Because even when it's put in game, I think if someone sees like, oh, you have to leave the game to view it, they don't do it. It's
Right.
probably like,
yeah. Then they don't. Yeah.
1% that actually leaves it to watch it or read the
Yeah.
story.
Probably those of us that are involved in the community and on Twitter, those are the people that leave it to actually watch what they're putting on the game.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think Vainglory, Super Evil Megacorp is gonna have to find a way to help these content creators. Otherwise, everyone's just they're gonna leave, and then the player base that is like super passionate, they're not going to like promote the game as much as they should, and then it's back to just this casual game that no one is doing anything except just hanging out and playing some solo queue or blitz games.
Yeah. Right. And that kind of is where Flash X is right now, because he's talking about retirement and moving away from playing. And I know I've seen him tweeting to Vainglory about what are they doing to help with monetization of content creators, you know, because that's where his next step would be if he steps away from playing the game, is as a content creator, which he already is.
Right.
But then, yeah, and then that's the same issue that's kind of been raised by Rumbly Superset as to why he's creating content for other games more than he is for Vainglory. Same issue with the traffic just not being there. And, for someone like Rumbly, who that's how he makes his living, that's very important to him.
Right, yeah. Yeah, if
So
you're
it's
trying to make a
interesting.
living off of it, like just with streamers, especially like Xenotech, although he's paid pro player, he'd definitely want to stream and make money there. If he can't make money streaming Vainglory, you go to another game.
Hmm. Right, yeah.
So, but interesting little tweet storm here in conversation. I would definitely go read it. There's some other stuff he kind of brings up, and I know Playoff Beard kind of chimes in at the end of it to tell him to get in touch with SCMC and kind of give some more insight.
Yeah. I read through it, and I saw that Haney ended up tweeting, I'd love to chat with you, to speak in DMs about what they're doing and their player growth. Because I think the reason they mainly replied is because he kind of hinted at Vainglory maybe having bots playing, because the person that he was tweeting with said, you never have an issue finding a match no matter what game where you're playing or time of day. So Eli's response was like, well, can you tell the difference between real players and bots players? Because some games use bot players to, and that's, I think, what caught the attention of Playoff Beard and Haney.
Right, because if you assume there's bots in the game, that opens up a Pandora's box of like, that could be troublesome.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
yeah, and from playing against the bots that are actually in the game, the practice mode, I don't think we have an issue of bots playing in Vainglory.
Yeah, maybe, especially not at higher tiers. Maybe at tier 1 or 2, because you don't, or like when you first start playing, maybe you wouldn't know, but I don't know. I can't comment on this bots thing because it's way too like conspiracy theory.
Yeah, exactly.
I love a good conspiracy theory, but yeah, they are dangerous. So
yeah, for sure. Especially when you get into those types of conspiracy theories.
Yeah. But yeah, check out the whole tweet storm and everything there. So it's a good read and good thought. And if you read content or watch videos, like, support those people, leave a comment, thumbs up, like all that stuff just helps those people like continue doing it. Just like knowing someone's watching.
Watching, yeah.
Just like, thank you, I will keep making it.
Right.
Cool. Well, Victorious, thanks for joining me. This was a great episode.
Of course.
Where can people get in touch with you or even learn more about the team that you're helping manage now? What's its name too? Should we be on the lookout?
It's still technically Stormguard. We've explored a few team name changes, but we'll see. It's for right now. It's still Stormguard, the original team that Joshua F88 and I made 2 years ago now.
Okay.
It's like if we were gonna make it, it probably would have happened by now, huh? But no, I think we're in a good place right now with Pajama heading up our the training the boys and getting them ready to compete. So hopefully by next split we will apply for a challenger. But as far as where can people find me for Vainglory purposes, it's my Twitter at victorious_VG.
Cool. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll include a link in the show notes. Everyone go over there, follow, check them out. And then you can follow Shatter The Vain on Twitter at Shatter The Vain, website shatterthevain.com. All the episodes get posted there, links to iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube version. Be sure to go like and let me know you're watching or listening. And then I'll be back next week with 175. I think we're gonna have an EU guest, so we're gonna see what's happening over there next week. So get ready for that.
Let's get this over with.